Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Rabbi Stephen here with another Torah commentary. Hope you had a great week. Shabbat Shalom again. And this week, Vayeira. Yirah, actually the word ro'eh means seeing, or he sees, I see. It's the conjugation of the present form of the verb for male. So Yirah, Vayirah, and it's actually the reflexive part of the verb. And he will be seen. He will be seen by Hashem. Okay? So there's Abraham. He is sitting outside his tent. And he had just been circumcised for the first time in being 99. And he is recovering. It's supposedly a 3-day recovery according to the Talmud. So one of the things that Abraham, it's Abraham now, remember. It is a positive and a negative commandment. It is a positive commandment to refer to him as Avraham, father of a multitude of nations. It is a negative commandment to not refer to him as Avram, father of Haram. So Avraham, sitting outside his tent, and he liked to do that because he loved to welcome visitors, which was kind of in contrast to the way the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, and there was 2 or 3 other cities, very, very xenophobic. You think things are bad in this country? Well, back in Sodom, a young girl used to help visitors that were coming in, used to give them, well, not a young girl, a young woman, used to help visitors that passed by, used to give them refreshments, used to put them up, did it in secret because the townspeople did not like strangers. They found out about it, tied her up, put honey on her, and put her outside with the bees, okay? That's what Sodom was all about. And that's one of the reasons why they got destroyed, which happens in this particular portion. We're going to lead up to that, so stay tuned. So here's Avraham sitting outside his tent, and it says that Hashem appeared to Abraham. And he looks up and he sees 3 men. Okay, the connection is pretty obvious. They were 3 angels. Angels are messengers of God. You know, the word melech is the word for king, and the word malachim is the word for angels, servants. It's all servants. In fact, it's tied to the word malacha, which means work. So you're servant, you're working for the people. Ultimately, a king is a servant of the people. At least in Judaism it is. Other peoples, other cultures, other heritages have different ideas. All right, this is the way we feel. So the 3 strangers come up, and these were angels. They were disguised as men. And Abraham immediately, you're travelers, you're weary, let us put you up. And he has Sarah fetch a calf that they're going to kill and cook up. In the meantime, he serves them curds and whey or milk and cream, whatever it was. It was dairy. Now the question comes up. This raises a bunch of questions. And actually, I do this for about 11 minutes. This may be all we have time to deal with, but there's a couple of things going on in here. First of all, the laws of kashrut, right? We do not eat milk and meat together. Now, some sages say, well, they ate milk and meat together because the laws of Torah had not been given to the Israelites yet. Well, at this point, there are no Israelites because there's no Israel, who was Jacob, who gave birth to the 12 tribes, who gave birth to their respective peoples. That's why we're called Israelites. Why? Because we're all descended from Jacob, ultimately from Abraham. On the other hand, the sages also say that Abraham and Sarah knew Torah instinctively. They knew the teachings of God. Didn't have to be written down. So they say, well, if you look at the writing, if you look at the text, it says that he served them milk and cream, and then they served meat. So he knew that you serve dairy first before the meat, and then to have dairy after the meat, depending on your culture, on your background. The standard practice is 3 hours. If you're really ultra-Orthodox and glot kosher, which is really strict, then you wait 6 hours. The Dutch, I believe, are the most lenient. They wait about an hour. Right? So you do what you like to do. So the other case is that he's serving food to angels. Okay, angels don't eat. These were angels disguised as men, but they were nevertheless still angels. So they were actually going through the motions of eating. All right. So that's the other part of it. 3 angels, 3 messages. They're messengers. 1 message per angel. 3 angels, 3 messages. Do the math. First angel says, we are, okay, you and Sarah, what is your biggest desire? To have a baby? Sarah will be pregnant. She will have a son. You will see a son. So with this, Abraham laughed. He goes, I'm 99. I'm going to have a son. He laughed. He told Sarah. Sarah laughed. I'm 89 years old. I'm a withered old woman. I'm going to have a baby. So they laughed. The Hebrew word for laugh is sohek, or misahek, make fun of, right? And the son that they had, Yitzchak. He was laughing. So that's how Isaac got his name. Now some people say, well, Abraham was laughing with joy, with happiness, with pride. Sarah was laughing with disbelief. We'll have to delve into that a little bit more. I didn't personally see any text that said that she was disrespectful to Hashem, saying, well, how is God going to, make a withered old woman give birth? But in fact, she did. So there it is. The second angel says, we are going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. They are wicked. And we heard a little bit about their wickedness. They were very xenophobic. Okay, they were very unto themselves. They did not like strangers. They did not like anybody different than them. And it's not that they just didn't like it. Okay, we heard about some of the things that they did. This incident with the woman was just one thing. Now, a lot of people talk about sexual deviancy when they talk about Sodom, and hence the word sodomy, okay, which talks about relationships between humankind and animals and beasts, bestiality. That's ultimately what sodomy is. Although it can encompass other types of sexual deviancies as well. But the Bible, the Torah really doesn't get involved in that. That story about the girl, the young woman that gave quarters to visitors and then was killed for it, really, that's really kind of the midrash. There are some people that talk about sexual deviancies with Sodom, and that's why they were punished. But it really kind of went on beyond that. I mean, people ascribe punishments to sexual deviancy. I think, more, my opinion. Okay, let's put it where it is. More than really is warranted. Okay, but that's fruit for another discussion. I'm sure a lot of you will disagree, but that's okay. That's what we do as Jews. We argue, we talk, we like to debate. That's why we get our information. So the third angel talks about Lot. That Lot's going to have to get out of there, right? So Hashem visits Abraham. And Abraham says, why are you going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah and the other two cities? There's actually like 5 cities that were destroyed. Hashem says, well, they're wicked and they deserve to be destroyed. Abraham says, wait a minute, hang on. If we can find 50 righteous men in Sodom, because Sodom was the big metropolis, that's where the urban activity was centered. Will you spare Sodom for 50? And Hashem says, no, you can find me 50 people, 50 righteous people. I will spare Sodom. And Abraham says, well, what if it's 50 minus 5? Okay, will you spare Sodom and the rest of the towns for 50 minus 5? And Hashem's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that deal. And Abraham's like, well, I'll tell you what, he's bargaining. He's trying to save these people. He says, if in all 5 cities, if we can find 10 righteous people among all the 5 cities, will you spare those cities? And Hashem is like, done. Done. Now, of course, Hashem is Hashem, right? He knows whether or not whether or not there are truly 10 righteous people within the realms within the confines of those 5 cities. And he knows that there aren't. But he lets Abraham go through the motions of bargaining and trying to save these cities. This is in very important contrast to his predecessor. Who did we read about? What personage did we read about before Abraham? We read about Noah. Hashem went to Noah and says, I'm going to destroy humankind. They're wicked. They rob each other, right? They hurt each other. I'm going to wipe them out and start a new people. And Noah's like, okay, I better start building that ark. It's going to take me 120 years. What is that Chinese proverb? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Okay, let's get going. He did. Noah, to his discredit, and this is where a lot of the sages said he was righteous only because everybody else there was so unrighteous, didn't want to try to save humanity. Abraham, on the other hand, did. Okay? also wanted to save his nephew Lot, who was living in the area, right? The third angel went to Lot and said, get your and your family's butts out of here, okay? So Lot got his wife, his 2 unmarried daughters. He had 2 sons. They were married. His 2 other daughters. They didn't want to leave. He took his wife, his daughters. They said, do not look back as you're leaving. Why? Because when you're running, you turn back. What do? What happens? You slow down. His wife turned around. Curiosity got the best of her. In today's world, she'd probably be watching the E! Channel with the Kardashians, right? Curiosity, right? The housewives of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So she turned around, she looked, she slowed down. She got hit with sulfur, with the brimstones. That's what brimstone means. It means burning stone. Okay, and there she goes. So Lot and his family, Lot and his daughters ended up surviving. The rest of them were out. And 10 righteous people. That's why we need you to come to services on Saturday morning to read the Torah, because thanks to them, we need 10 people to read the Torah. Okay, just think Sodom and Gomorrah. Shabbat Shalom. Hope to see you in services. Make a minion like Abraham bargained with Hashem. And we will see you then. Thank you. And again, once again, can never say too much. Shabbat Shalom.